You know that feeling when signing up for a new service takes literally 3 seconds, but trying to leave feels like taking on a part-time job? Yeah, we've absolutely all been there. Today, we're pulling back the curtain in this explainer on why simple online tasks suddenly feel like running headfirst into a brick wall. We're going to dive right into the fascinating and honestly kind of frustrating world of behavioral economics to see exactly how digital environments are engineered to control your choices.
So, let's set the scene. Imagine you're a little stickman hero, just happily cruising along. You're trying out a new app, maybe a fancy meal delivery service. Everything is smooth sailing, right? But then, you decide you don't really need the service anymore. You go to click cancel and, bam, you hit a massive, agonizing wall of friction. Suddenly you're clicking through endless menus, reading weirdly confusing text, and you realize you can't even find the exit door.
And this classic newspaper subscription example brilliantly illustrates the trap. A digital newspaper will happily let you sign up with a single click. Boom. Instant, seamless, zero effort required. But the second you want to cancel, you are forced into a maze. Out of nowhere, you have to make an actual phone call. You're put on hold listening to terrible elevator music. And oh, by the way, you can only call during super restricted hours, like Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. I mean, why is the exit so much harder to find than the entrance?
Let's move to Section 1, Defining the Enemy, and what we call choice architecture. So the people who built these digital spaces are known as choice architects. And when they deliberately design administrative friction to block your actions, behavioral scientists call that sludge. The term was actually coined by the economist Richard Thaler, and sludge basically combines friction with bad intentions. The architect is weaponizing the design against your best interests. They are making a process incredibly difficult for the sole purpose of keeping your monthly fee, knowing you'll probably just give up trying to cancel.
To actually implement this sludge, companies rely heavily on what are called dark patterns. These are the secret corporate tactics, the deceptive design practices specifically meant to trick or trap you. We're talking about hiding the opt-out button in tiny, microscopic, light gray text at the very bottom of the page. Or using those wild, confusing double negatives where you're left wondering, wait, does checking this box mean I want the emails or does it mean I don't want the emails? These are literal tripwires designed to make our little stick man stumble, fall, and ultimately surrender.
All right, Section 2, the science of friction and why friction actually matters.
Now, in behavioral economics, friction isn't always the bad guy. It really comes down to intent. Let's break this down. On one side, a nudge minimizes friction to gently steer you toward a positive choice, like auto-enrolling you in a retirement savings plan. It enhances your welfare. Right in the middle, we've got dark sludge, which maximizes friction to exploit you and boost corporate profits. But take a look at that third category, ethical sludge. Sometimes introducing a little bit of friction is a very good thing. Think of a multi-step privacy consent loop, or a mandatory cooling-off period before you can transfer a massive amount of money. That friction forces you to slow down and protect yourself. So the tool itself is totally neutral. It's the intent of the choice architect that makes all the difference.
Which brings us to Section 3, Exploiting Bounded Rationality and our cognitive limits.
You might be wondering, why do these dark patterns work on us so ridiculously well? Well, it all goes back to a foundational concept in behavioral science called bounded rationality. Look, rational choice theory used to assume that humans were perfect calculating machines with endless energy to weigh every single option. But bounded rationality tells us the truth. Human decision-making has limits. You have limited time, limited working memory, and limited cognitive capacity. Listen, you aren't lazy or stupid for giving up on a cancellation. Corporations are intentionally exploiting your bounded rationality. They know full well that your brain only has so much computational energy to spend in a single day. In practice, this creates a highly engineered war of attrition. Step 1, you're scouring the website for a hidden cancellation link. Step 2, you have to navigate 3 different screens of guilt-tripping counteroffers. Step 3, you realize you have to call them during your own busy work hours. Step 4, you wait on hold forever, listening to automated messages. And finally, Step 5, your cognitive battery is totally depleted, your bounded rationality hits its absolute limit, and you just give up.
Moving into Section 4, the psychological toll, or the true cost of sludge.
This deliberate friction isn't just mildly annoying, it actually imposes a remarkably heavy psychological tax on us. We can break this down into 4 specific costs. First, search costs. That's the uncertainty and discouragement of hunting for unclear, hidden information. Second, decision costs. The intense decision fatigue that sets in when you're forced to navigate ambiguous, overwhelming menus. Third are cognitive costs. literally the mental strain of processing complex, deceptive language. And finally, the emotional costs, the anxiety, the loss of autonomy, and that really deep frustration of feeling entirely trapped by a system.
Behavioral experts actually refer to this collective burden as a bandwidth tax, because our cognitive resources are finite, right? The mental energy you spend fighting through a dark pattern to cancel a service is energy you no longer have for your work, your family, or your personal life. This cognitive overload leaves you with fewer mental resources for the rest of your day. These choice architects are effectively draining your personal bandwidth just for their own gain.
Okay, let's wrap things up with Section 5, Fighting Corporate Sludge Through Ethical Architecture.
The good news here is that researchers aren't just complaining about the problem, they are actively fighting back. Governments and ethical organizations are now conducting what they call sludge audits. Instead of just looking at the technical, back-end steps of a process, auditors step directly into the shoes of the user. They map the entire behavioral journey to systematically identify exactly where people are getting stuck, confused, or frustrated. Once they locate these artificial brick walls, they can bulldoze them, streamlining the process to actually respect the user's time and cognitive capacity.
As Richard Thaler perfectly summarized, let's urge those in both the public and private sectors to engage in sludge cleanup campaigns. By prioritizing these cleanup campaigns, we can completely dismantle these dark patterns. We can stop companies from profiting off our cognitive exhaustion and ensure that our digital and physical environments are designed to empower us rather than trap us.
So I'll leave you with this thought to chew on today. Take a really hard look at the services you navigate every single day. The apps on your phone, the subscriptions on your credit card, even the forms you fill out at the doctor's office. Ask yourself, are you being gently nudged toward a better outcome? Are you being sludged by a choice architect who just wants you to give up? Where else is corporate sludge secretly draining your time, energy, and money right now? Keep your eyes open, protect your mental bandwidth, and whatever you do, don't let the dark patterns win. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you on the next one.